What's up, everybody? My name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Now, today we have a very special guest on our channel, and it's someone that I've highly respected over many years. It's actually 5 years I've been watching his content, but he's been around a lot longer. And that's none other than Dan from Crypto Capital Ventures. Dan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us on this show today.
What is up, Vincent? I appreciate it, man. I'm a huge fan of yours. I appreciate you having me on the channel. I'm really looking forward to just chatting with you.
Yeah, I mean, this conversation is going to be really juicy just because I've been watching your content for a while, and especially during the COVID pandemic. Like, you were one of the very few voices in the crypto space that people were looking to for up-to-date information. And literally, I would watch your videos on Cardano a lot, and I knew more about Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, and everything that was being built on that specific chain. And, Cardano did really well along with a lot of different altcoins in 2021. So, I have you to thank for that. And that's where we kind of want to start off, right, is your journey. So, I talked about how I've been watching you for about 5 years, but you've been around a lot longer than that. In fact, the earliest video that I saw that you posted was like over 8 years ago. And now today, you're getting close to hitting almost 3,000 videos on your YouTube channel. So now that we look back, I want you to kind of give us some of the key moments that kind of shaped your journey and, brought you to where you are now as a prominent voice within this crypto space.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You mentioned that in a note, like, to me about the 3,000 videos, and I was like, are you kidding me? I haven't really, like, I don't track that, like, every month. And I was like, 3,000 videos, man, that's insane. But it's definitely been quite the journey, and it's ever changing. That's the thing. Like, when I started in, I think it was like 2018, you think it's going to go one way, and looking back now 8 years later, I'm in a completely different thing than I would have ever thought. So I mean, one of the biggest things I've learned over the years is just pivoting. And a lot of it, I think, is like based on instinct, which is actually something that happened last cycle with Cardano. I pivoted out of Litecoin. There's a lot of those moments, along the way, along the journey. And it's just because we're in such a fast moving space. Like, you can't get married to an idea. You know what I mean? You can track the idea, you can have your conviction about something, but like the moment where opportunity meets new data, especially after years, you have to there are times where you just have to make moves. And part of my journey has been just like that constant pivoting. Like, my content, I think, is a reflection of that. I think broadly, if you zoom out on it, it's like, man, it kind of was hitting on multiple different things. I used to do Bitcoin only. I used to do Litecoin only. I used to do Cardano only. I used to do all altcoins. So you know what I'm saying? It's just always been like a mix of things. The hard times and the bear markets are what has defined, I would say, my crypto journey as a whole, though. Definitely.
That actually, I feel like, segues into our next question, because I think you brought up a really great point in terms of pivoting, which is something that I think retail investors should, not just in the crypto space, but even TradFi, should understand, because some people are the terminology is married to our bag so much that we're so blindsided in seeing these opportunities. And I think that's a great reminder. And that just goes to show, when you're making almost videos on a daily basis, that you kind of hear your own voice, you hear your own thoughts, and you realize, like, I got to pivot, because some people aren't able to channel that, where they hear their thoughts. And sometimes they say, oh, maybe I shouldn't be married to this specific bag based on how I'm saying it. You hear your inner thoughts. So
Yeah.
with these bear markets, right? And especially the bull markets, you've gone through multiple of these, like, especially over those 8 years. Now, for you, I think people would want to know, how do you tune out a lot of the different emotional aspects from extreme fear, extreme hype, aka greed? And how do you tune out some of these social media noises like articles or crypto news channels or even the macro aspect that tells you maybe how you should feel?
Yeah.
How do you stay focused from like the bigger picture? How do you cancel that noise out and just focus on how you see things?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like the biggest piece. I think it might be the biggest piece to investing in general. But like when you step in the crypto world investing, it's a really big piece of it because the emotionality in the crypto space is insane. And it is so easy to be influenced by that. So what I've learned over the years, because definitely in my early days, I think it was absolutely like so easy to be influenced by um, not only headlines, but also just people. Like, what are people online saying, right? That emotional aspect. Somebody new in crypto, especially, it's easy to be influenced. Like, oh, I should do this then. You know, I just saw, and it's like an anonymous comment, like with 2 likes, but it like hits you, right? It's learning to take that emotion and that feeling that you get when you're browsing and actually start turning that into like an indicator, into a gauge. That is the key. And I think why that's why in bear markets, even like 2018, like Bitcoin capitulating towards like $3,000, I was pretty fairly new, like in a cycle move like that. And I feel like I do remember being like, this is awesome. Like this is terrible, but it's so awesome because like I rode up the 2017 bull run. I don't think I took any profit. And I started my YouTube channel and we just went the whole way down. And we're capitulating and everybody's calling it game over for crypto. And I was sitting there like, you know what? Like maybe it is, but I don't think so. And this is my opportunity. I was, running my recruiting firm, hustling, trying to bring in revenue so I could just purchase, like accumulate. And it's that feeling like when there's the fear, the emotionality in the markets, that was like the best indicator, for opportunity zone. And ironically, like we're there right now as we record this video, in my opinion, like on the macro, on the zoomed out. And I've probably said that multiple times over the last 3 years. And that looks ridiculous. Like, dude, you were so wrong. Like, because 2022 bottom, you were so bullish on altcoins and we're like at the same prices. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, that is actually true. But for me, there's an explanation and a reasoning. And that gets into like the macroeconomic landscape, business cycle, the suppression that we haven't seen since the 1940s, record breaking extraction of liquidity. Crypto is not going to do well in that environment, right? So, but that doesn't change the fact that we've been in like 3, 4 years of accumulation, in my opinion, for altcoins. And that does not feel good to a lot of people because we want that like clockwork. It's on the calendar, altcoin season. That's why I came here because it was time. A lot of the industry wants that, but um, the fear that we're in, it's again, I'm sorry to answer your question, it's turning it into an indicator. And the same goes for headlines. They're going to pull the same exact like emotional levers that an anonymous comment will pull, but they're doing it with a purpose and a target, which is much of retail. So it's ignoring that. And if you want to pay attention to it, pay attention to it for the right reason. It's that not to be influenced by it. That's what I think I've learned over the years.
Retail does get affected by the headlines. I mean, they're the same people that check CoinMarketCap or the price of their specific assets and focus their decisions just based on price of. When I go onto your YouTube page or sometimes on your X page, I do read some comments just because I can't help it. Like some of them are outrageous. And you know what I'm talking about. These are the negative comments. They'll say, Dan, why'd you dot dot dot? Why are you taking it back? Dot dot dot. And so basically what I'm seeing is retail typically likes to express their feelings on the social media outlets such as X and YouTube. For you, I think this is something that we need to step into retail psychology. And I think coming from you, it would mean a lot because I think most retail will probably want to hear this from you. When you're experiencing that type of criticism from retail, how can retail differentiate itself away from that pattern, right? That behavioral pattern of toxicity, blaming it on other people for their own decisions. How can retail investors recognize these specific people and avoid falling into this trap of emotions and focus on price? Well, what are some tips that you would tell retail right now since they're watching?
I think it's like kind of not a fun answer or like a cool or exciting answer, but I really do think it has to do with education, um, and really just taking the time. Because the way that I look at it, there's two pretty simple approaches to crypto, which is like you're just constantly following what the headlines and the mass amount of comments and emotion in the market is doing. Like you're just doing that. And so many people in crypto do that because it's the easy way. It's so easy. Let me go to Cointelegraph. What's the headline? And then let me go to one of the big crypto influencers. Like not only what are they saying, but what are the comments saying? And then I make my decisions based on that. Like I did my research. You know what I mean? Cointelegraph and a YouTube video scrolling comments. That is not the way to succeed in crypto. You'll get lucky along the way, I'm sure, but the way to succeed and the way to differentiate, as you said, is to literally just you have to study the data. Like you have to understand crypto. You have to understand crypto cycles and what's driving things. Um, and you just don't get that like when you're just in the comments or you're just watching a YouTube video. Um, so I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that's what it is. It's studying. And I want to say like I recently realized I've been covering the business cycle and PMI, liquidity, and all these like macroeconomic indicators and things, talking about Kevin Warsh and like what's in his brain. It's so intriguing to me. I think it has so much to do with crypto and what we're wanting, but it's so boring to everybody. And it's so boring, I think, for the masses to even want to understand what does PMI mean? Like what is that? That's not 4-year cycle, 4-year calendar event where I get my bull market. Oh, that's easy. Give me that. You know what I mean? And I think that's the disconnect. It's like education versus what's easy. Give me the gains. Tell me when the gains are coming. That's what it is. So for me, I would say taking the time to educate and not educate to the sense of, oh, I just absolutely know. Because I'm not sitting here saying I know. I could be wrong about all my theories, but at least I have like my framework for what's going on here. And I'm not driven by a daily the winds of crypto. I'm not driven by that at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I watch your content, it's a very educational channel. It's not like some channel where I feel, oh, this is where I'm going to get my financial advice. And when you provide the content on almost a daily basis, you don't have to do it, but I feel that you genuinely care about learning from this space, that you want to share these amazing findings within whatever you do. Like if it is PMI, I remember when people were talking about the M2 money supply, right?
Yeah.
And some people may say, I'm not going to mention this specific YouTuber, but he usually typically says people always trying to find a narrative for whatever it is, if it's a bull market or a bear market. And he'll typically say, but no matter what, history always repeats. We're still in a 4-year cycle based on what
Yeah.
we're seeing now, right? We already know who
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
Um, but I actually think it's actually very helpful. Yes, I like being open to that, but I also like being open to your perspective as well. Because what, are we just going to just accept that this is just the way it is? We have to be open to change. We have to be open to anything that is new information because why not understand the PMI data? Why not understand what Kevin Warsh is going to do in terms of his effect on the Fed chair or rate cuts? Who knows? You stay in touch with people, you keep people updated. And what I love about your channel is that you do give a very fair value, meaning you're okay with the ups, you're okay with the downs, you're okay with the positives and negatives. You're not always saying it's one-sided. Would you say that that's how your channel is, which is kind of seeing multiple different avenues and not just like blindsiding, truth or false information, like how would you picture your channel to be right now?
That is it. And I'm still working on it. Like I am very bad at packaging. And I think that's where like a lot of I think the negativity gets thrown my way is because of that. Like the front end of my videos or my content is packaged probably wrong. I should probably be a little bit more thoughtful in how I do it. I don't know. I'm still working on that. But because when you step into my content, if somebody takes time to watch a 10 or 20-minute video, they'll actually see that I am covering all sides. Like I'm not a permeable. I'm not, you know, I talk about downside probably more than I talk about upside. And everybody just tells me how I'm always bullish. I talk about downside targets all the time that often are hit. And everybody's like, you're just bullish. You're never like you're always wrong because you're always bullish and all we've gone has gone done has gone down. But the point I'm bringing that up is the approach to answer your question is, and I talk about this in my videos, but it's just so key for me. My dad, when I was younger, um, I think it was in a like he was teaching me to drive, or we were pitching. I was like playing baseball. It's extreme contrast analysis is what he called it, and it just stuck with me through everything in life. And that was his whole thought. Apply this to everything in life. Extreme contrast analysis is when you're in a situation, you're making a decision, you're trying to figure something out, you're trying to, you know, do the right thing. Visualize both extremes. The like best case scenario, the worst case scenario. And then after you visualize that, then in that moment you can kind of make a decision based on, you know, especially with investing, your risk appetite, things like that. So for me, it's always visualization of the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, which for me is always zero. My portfolio just goes to zero because crypto goes to zero. That's the worst case scenario.
Right.
So that's like the basis of all my analysis is just like, yeah, I have my framework. I have what I think is going to happen. Oftentimes I talk about it with a lot of conviction, a lot of certainty, which I try not to sound so certain. But at the end of the day, like it's about balancing risk and it's about we could be at the starting line of crypto right now, but it could also go to zero. You know what I mean? So it's that extreme contrast analysis for me that helps me, I think, balance my content. So
Yes.
I don't know if that answers your question,
It
but
does. It absolutely does. And this is where we're going to flip the script now because
yeah,
because in this first half we've been talking about, the volatility, the bear markets and how tough it can be and how we can educate retail to be best prepared. But this fun other half of the video is about finding hidden gems because one of your talents, and I think maybe the talents of YouTubers in general that focus on the crypto space, our job what we do for research is to find these hidden gems within the crypto space that can give us the gains that we expect, but not the gains that I feel give us hopium. The gains that I feel because we follow data, we follow possibly the volatility within the market, what is the sentiment going on in the market. In your perspective, because there are like over 30 million different crypto assets out there, much larger than it was in like 2018, what are some of the key indicators that you look forward to or that you look for in terms of identifying a project, a token, a meme coin, a utility token, AI token that has significant upside potential?
yeah. So this ties back to what I was saying at the beginning, which was like pivoting. Like pivoting is key because and a great example, and it's just such a good example. I have to bring it up is well, number one, Litecoin. 2018, I was all about it. And dude, I love Charlie Lee. I love the community. Like I made some cool friends like doing all that. But there was a moment where I looked at the charts, I looked at the narrative. I think probably 2019. I looked at what was setting up for the next cycle. I was like, dude, LTC is not the play. Like it just doesn't seem like it. Something like Cardano is. And it's just because there was like an energy. I don't know how to explain it. The community that was just growing, the narrative that was growing for Cardano, the things that were on the time, like the roadmap for Cardano. So it's those things. It's community, it's narrative, and it's kind of like from a price perspective, market cap. Like, what's the market cap upside? There's a balance for me that is like I'm not looking for like number 600 in market cap. It's just that's out of my risk appetite, really. They could be insane plays there, but usually I'm not like there, right? And so for me, it's kind of like it's pivoting when necessary, but it's community, it's narrative, and point being LTC to Cardano. Even this cycle, Cardano to other things. That's just the way it is. And I know I've covered Cardano so much, but 3 years ago, 4 years ago, doing Cardano content, even 2 years ago doing Cardano content, the amount of change that has happened in the crypto space with everything is insane. Like, so I think even a lot of people that have followed me for Cardano content, I think most, which is a very silent majority, are just, they probably appreciate, like, if I'm going to need to reallocate or pivot or reposition, I'll do it and I'll be upfront about it. And I've been very upfront about it with Cardano for like the last year. I've talked about dog nonstop for 2 years. I've talked about SWE for a good year. And it's just because there's these new things. You have to pivot with that. And there's no better time, in my opinion, and I did a post about this, than when you're where we are right now in oversold, bear market lows. There's tax loss harvesting if you want to reallocate. There's benefits there. Talk to your CPA. It's not financial advice. And then it's just a reset in the market. So like evaluate now, 2026, what's going on, because it's way different than 2024, 2022, 2019. So that's kind of where I am. But community, good narrative. Ondo is one that I'm like, I still don't think the bull market, like, I think it's getting ready. And I'm like, I have my altcoins, but I'm like, I feel like I want some Ondo because I just feel like the market cap looks sweet to me. The community looks sweet to me. The tokenization, RWA stuff, institutionalization that's happening right now, the timing of it is something that I wouldn't have been talking about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But here we are, and I'm like, I want some Ondo. And it's just a collision of all of those things, I would say, is what creates an opportunity for me.
Yeah, the pivoting is absolutely necessary, and I can see how it's playing out even today. I mean, to me, you're still like the Cardano guy, and the fact that you even still mention it, people should not take that for granted. Like when you talk about a token, especially after like a year, especially longer for Cardano, it's amazing how many people in the world don't take gratitude in what you do because you haven't left, right? Like,
Yeah.
like to me, you're the Cardano guy. Like I can go to
Oh
you
man.
and you know what's going on. Even if the price of Cardano and most of like all coins right now are down almost close to like 70, 90%, you're still here. And that just goes to show that you have been in these cycles before, but I'd rather be around somebody and hear from somebody that has their sorry, I don't like to curse, has their shizzle together. And, during the volatile times of the market, that you're maintaining your composure, maintaining your mind, and you're completely focused. So I just want to personally commend that to you because you have no idea how many people I've seen become grifters where they literally can't stick with just one token. And you can tell like all their financial decisions are based on what they say and how they portray themselves. And we see them. We see them on X. And
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is why a lot of them kind of lose that respect and reputation of, being a thoughtful leader or just a thought leader in general.
yeah,
So you are
yeah.
that thought leader.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So now we got to talk about one of the tokens that you did mention. I know that this army's going to love it. I do want to understand your perspective on dog and Bitcoin runes and the Bitcoin ecosystem because knowing you for this long, I was actually quite surprised how much you cared, how much you did your research on dog. And like you said, over the past 2 years, you've been talking about it as well as I have. But I haven't really been into anything like this in such a long time where I consistently want to talk about it because the data tells me it's really exciting. And people can watch my channel every single day. They'll know what I'm talking about. But I want to hear from you, you know, since you've become such a vocal advocate for this new emerging ecosystem as you've been pivoting, what
Mm.
are the data points or maybe trends or things that you see within dog that you're like, okay, I'm willing to talk about this on my YouTube channel, regardless of the skepticism or criticism that I get on YouTube, which naturally comes by anyways.
Mm. Mm. I've really had to, um, I only have a certain amount of bandwidth. And I feel like subconsciously when I'm creating content or doing a post, I'm always thinking of this bandwidth that I have, like this allowance that I have for negativity to come in. So I measure every post with that. I'd probably talk about dog a lot more than I do. Let's put it that way. But I just don't have the appetite for just that much negativity right now. It'll be way easier when dog is up 10x, 20x, 30x, 50x because I think they're like that's so, especially right now, so in play. It'll be easy for me. I post about it all day, and the negativity won't be there because everything that you have said, Vincent, and the dog community has been investing based on a certain thesis would have proved to have been right. It would be easier to talk about. But I balance it very much because of people see the hashtag dog and it's like, you know, meme coin shiller. And that's what's funny is like I understand it's a meme coin, but I don't even look at dog like a meme coin. I think people would be ridiculously shocked if they knew where dog stood in my altcoin portfolio. They would be really shocked, especially with the amount of content that I cover. Um, but and you could maybe guess what that means in terms of my dog allocation relative to my other altcoins. But that's it though. It's really balancing, you know, how much I'm going to talk about it because I just realized the state of the market right now. You know, what is it? What's the market cap of dog right now? Is it like 60 million or something?
It's around 64. Yes.
Yeah. So it's rough. It was at a billion, right? So, but it's like everything else. It's incredible to see how dog is held up. I mean, what dog's down, what, 80 some percent, 90%, Bitcoin's down 50%. Like, so man, I'm very excited about dog. Did you have other dog questions in relation? Because I know you were about it was kind of about how do I go about balancing the content I create on dog or
Well, it's more about also, I mean, I like the facts that you did bring up, but for me, I think people would want to know what are the foundations of dog that you do like. Like we understand like how much you have, or at least an estimate of like how you're allocated towards it, what you find interesting. Also, why you try not to talk about it too much, just because of all the, criticism that people get. By the way, when I hear that from you, what I appreciate what you just said and what I got from it is some people they buy a ton of something and then they shill it nonstop. It's because they want people, like, it's kind of like Bitmine, right? Tom Lee is buying a lot of Ethereum, so he's going to talk about it a lot. But you're the complete opposite, where you rather put your money where your mouth is and then let people decide the value, and you don't try to convince people you need to buy this.
yeah.
And that's something that I highly respect. It's actually lacking in the space a lot. So, what data or trends or just things that you like about dog that you're like, you know what, I'm willing to allocate a good portion of my portfolio into this? Not because maybe there's a huge risk factor, but there's a larger reward factor that outweighs the risk.
Let me. I'll do a quote. Let me see if you could guess who I am. Yeah, it's a meme. It's a meme coin, but it's on chain. It's on chain. You know who I am?
Yeah, that's Mark Yusko from Morgan
That's
Tree
right, dude.
Capital.
That's right, baby. Shout out to Mark Yusko.
Like I'm a believer in runes, and like the guys will love me. I'll say dog. I like dog go to the moon, and like how could you like that's just a meme coin? I'm like yeah, but it's a meme coin on the right chain.
And this is why I have such a heavy allocation to dog. Like that is one really big reason. And there's so many added layers to that. Mark Yusko is dead on in what he's saying there, but it's like the culture is not going anywhere. Like this meme coin culture, right? The culture that meme coins bring, the community that it brings in the crypto space, which is very community driven, is not going anywhere. And this is literally it's on Bitcoin. It's like it's the chain. Do you know what I mean? And that's not going anywhere, I don't think, right? So Bitcoin's the number one chain. You have the number one coin besides BTC. And it's just the fact that how it was, and that's the thing. It's like you go back to the early days, when Leonidas did what he did, the way that that was done was just so cool to me. I was I was just excited about Ordinals when it started happening. I think we were just it was a terrible bear market. It was just fun that something was happening, like something new. What is this? And I was just getting into Ordinals. Like I was buying, I was on Discord servers, like DMing people buying. I think I have like a sub 5,000 Ordinal or sub 10,000. Like it's a Moonbird, I think, which I think there's a play there with like a sub 10K. But like I'm doing all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, like I get these rune stones and I start looking into it. I see what Leonice is doing. I remember being in that Discord, seeing the announcement, I think, um, and then it was just free. It was just a fair launch, like on Bitcoin. Like you can't even. It just doesn't get better than that for me. And again, I could be very wrong about this whole thing. You could look back in 5 years on our chat right now, and I could look so stupid. And I could be wrong. I know that, which is the extreme conscious analysis. Like it could go to zero. But at the same time, like for me, the risk reward, when you put all of these puzzle pieces together, what make dog dog, it's like, it really is, in my opinion, if we're going to get a bull market, if Bitcoin is going to continue higher, right? 100 plus thousand, 200 plus thousand, even more beyond. I just genuinely think dog is like the best altcoin play. I just think that. And I could sound really ridiculous right now and maybe look ridiculous, and that's okay. So, and that's why I always preface, like, if it goes to zero, it's okay. Like for me, like I'll live, but that's it. That's my thought on dog.
Last question about this. How do you feel about Dog, the meme coin on Bitcoin, being the only token that is not in the multi-billions of dollars with the other dog theme meme coins on Solana, Ethereum? Like, how does that make you feel right now in
Yeah.
current moment?
That should have actually been brought up as well, because that's, besides the other things I mentioned, that's like huge to me. How's it make me feel though, is your question.
Mhm.
Confused. I know I'm actually, that actually is literally what it makes me feel, is confused. Like, I don't know.
I mean, it got close to hitting $1 billion,
Yeah.
shy of 1 million. Very interesting. I mean, I have other videos that have explained possibly why that scenario happened due to some suspicious activity.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name the specific exchange, but I mean, to you, do you feel that in order for Dog to join the multi-billions of dollars, just like all the other Dog theme meme coins, that do we need to be in a bull market for Bitcoin, for altcoins, for meme coins? Or do you think that there's another scenario where it's one of those rare events where it decouples, kind of like how privacy coins were pumping while the whole altcoin market was dumping?
Mhm.
Which scenario do you feel could play out?
Decoupling would be amazing. Like that would be really cool. I do think it's a scenario of we're entering a risk on type of environment for crypto, and we're getting a bull market. I think that is what will, and in that environment, maybe dog decouples. Like it just, you look at the dog BTC chart or something, and it's going to look ridiculous, like in that regard. But I do think it's going to be that risk on environment where all of crypto is doing pretty well, and then dog will in that environment also start catching up to the other meme coins. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I actually appreciate that perspective, and thank you for taking the time to answer that.
Yeah,
I do
of
want to
course.
talk about the 4-year cycle, or if we're in a totally different cycle, because this cycle's been kind of different. We reached a new all-time highs for Bitcoin before the halving even started. And I think
Yeah,
this was due heavily to BlackRock talking about, we're bullish on Bitcoin. We're going to potentially, the rumors were building and then eventually became an ETF.
yeah.
But now we have institutional adoption. And I feel like the market dynamics have almost evolved in some way. But I do want to hear from you. Do you still think we're in a 4-year cycle? Do you still think it's intact? Or do you still think that we're in this new market structure that we've never seen before, meaning that we could possibly be breaking out of it, that this is history rhyming a little bit, but not exactly repeating. And obviously, give us your takes on how investors could position themselves due to what you think is either the Fourier cycle or something completely different.
Yeah. So like one thing that I just a lot, like I cover a lot of my videos lately is the business cycle, which is, to put it very simply, the PMI, which is like this manufacturing data for the US. When it's, historically, when it's contracting, when it's going down, this has been correlated with bear markets for crypto. Okay. When it expands finally, and that is the US economy is expanding, things are looking good for manufacturers, because that's what the data is. It's surveys of over 400 manufacturers. When that's looking good and going up and expanding, that has gone with the crypto bull markets. You can't even ignore the correlation. Like I show it all the time in my videos, right? The correlation, the charts. That is what I really heavily think that crypto is following that. With what you mentioned, because I think one thing that could break that, or in people's minds breaks it, is, well, Bitcoin had an all-time high, like, and how'd that happen? And for me, number one, I say that all-time high was happening kind of at the confluence of the Bitcoin ETF stuff, incredible hype, right? January 2024, the ETF went live, I think, for Bitcoin. And also PMI, if you look at the swing highs for Bitcoin, was starting to expand towards 50. So basically above 50 on the PMI is when we get these bull markets. So you can even see Bitcoin expanding and hitting that all-time high. So, but then business cycle, boom, suppressed again. There was all this tariff fear for a while. Like there's all these things. And so I think, yeah, Bitcoin broke all-time high, but I just don't think that was even the Bitcoin bull market that people have been waiting for. I think now that PMI, we're at 54 now, and it's actually starting to expand. And if we get disinflation from the war ending now and the continuation of AI productivity, now we're going to get the expansion environment that we haven't had since 2020 on the PMI. And then we get a crypto bull run that even Bitcoin people, they've been waiting for. Because I don't think that Bitcoin all-time high was what Bitcoin people thought. I think that's what's still in play. And it goes with the PMI business cycle. Now, what's funny is like the Fourier cycle people, especially if we start expanding into fall, like they're going to look kind of semi-right again, because that's what it's been. The Fourier cycle has been coincidentally just lined up perfectly with the expansion and contraction of the PMI. And for me, I'm just like, and then you bring into play quantitative tightening and Fed monetary policy, and you look at the 2018 bear market was right in the first ever quantitative tightening. And this massive multi-year bear market we've been in was in record-breaking QT, like right in the box. For me, I'm just like, these are the things that are affecting this insanely low valuation asset class. It's not a calendar. It's not a Fourier cycle. And I say I can be wrong, and I can be wrong. But like, it makes no sense to me. Like the game is not that easy. There's macro indicators that are moving things. And that's way more plausible in my opinion. But there's so much data to understand. Like there's so much to piece together to understand it. It's so much easier to be like, oh yeah, Fourier cycle. Like, you know what I mean? So it's definitely, that's a lot of the data that I look at in terms of, and then we have Kevin Warsh speaking in like an hour, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And this is a guy that when we think about inflation, like he wants to measure inflation differently than what we've seen for a long time. And like, these are the things that I think matter for crypto, because if we have a new Fed chair that wants to measure inflation, like I think based on his measure, we're closer to 2% as opposed to like the 4% that recently came out because of the short-term supply shock with oil. So we have a guy that wants to measure it differently, and his measure, we're closer to 2% already. Then we get disinflation from oil crashing right now because the war is ending. Like we're in a really nice environment along with the the productivity boom that I think is happening. These are the things that I think are very big for crypto. These are the things I think people should pay attention to at the very least. Like just know and understand, even if it's not, maybe it's just as a 4-year calendar, but these are good things to understand.
By the time people watch this video, Kevin Warsh has already spoken. Who knows if he's going to do a rate cut, rate hike? God forbid it's a rate hike, or just a hold. It doesn't really matter. You brought up a really great point, which is people need to just kind of tune in and just be ready for anything pretty much and just adapt.
Yeah.
Regardless, I do think that Kevin Warsh has this position where, as he said, he wants to transform or reshape what the Federal Reserve is. And I like that perspective. Put out the old guard, put in the new guard type of attitude. And I do think that since he's such a, I guess you could say he's a Bitcoin bull, or he's just an advocate. He has a deep understanding about it. No one really appreciates that we're even in this position right now where Bitcoin is an ETF, where we have a government and also a president that wants to bring in more crypto adoption back to the United States. The fact that the Clarity Act is just around the corner, which we haven't even talked about yet. I mean, these things are just right around the corner, and so I think this is just something that's just primed to do very well. Um, do you feel like we're going to actually have the Clarity Act passed soon? End of year, maybe next couple months? What are your thoughts on that?
I think maybe end of year, but it's this whole July 4th thing, I think I don't think I was very optimistic. I was somebody who's very optimistic on that, but I'm not thinking it's not looking very good. I don't think like I'm failing to see how they're going to get the Democrats, the amount of Democrats that they need all of a sudden, unless they whip some into where they need to be. I just don't see how they're going to do it. And like literally, and then it's voted on the Senate floor literally what, within 2 weeks from now? I don't know. And the reason I doubt it so much is because just the way the government, the pace that they run, the way they do things, like, I don't know. But I do think it'll get passed. I just think on the very short term, July 4th is like the headline thing right now. I don't see that happening, but I do think it'll get passed. I don't know when anymore. And we've been let down every time. Like it's like, no, next month. By the way, next month it's happening. We'll get it done. We're working hard for you. Just kidding, next month. Like it's been like that. I'm like kind of getting tired of it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. The Clarity Act could be very positive for crypto. I mean, I know that'll help provide a lot of clarity, especially within the market structure bill. And the SEC and the CFTC will be assigned their roles.
It
But
has to
again,
get done.
it has to get done eventually. Like we have to have that type of adoption, that type of insight, but also just clear terminology. Where do people stand? Who is assigned what? And what protections do investors get? And yeah, I mean, until then, crypto is going to be crypto. It's like the Wild West. And
Yeah.
so,
And
okay,
institutions need it too. Like, and they're building it all. Like they're on board, right? So it'll get done. They know exactly when it'll get done too, I bet you. And it's what we talked about earlier. It's all like I really think there's so much, it's such a conspiracy, but like there's just so much manipulation, like of the headlines. Tell them this month. Let's put out July 4th, even though we absolutely know it's not happening. Let's do it.
yeah.
I feel like they're manipulating stuff like that, in my opinion. But
You know what? Spot on. There is always something bigger, a bigger entity or power
yeah,
that shapes the narrative that makes people believe this is what's happening. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. It happens on the news all the time, right? It may not even be related to financial things like
yeah,
warfare, just anything. Like
yep,
they want you to believe anything. They even
yep,
do it in movies or like celebrities. Like it's crazy.
they really do. What that's called something too. I forget what it's called, but I
I
know
mean, it's
exactly what
really
you're talking
good PR, right? It's great
about.
marketing. That's what marketing is. Like you get people to believe like, oh, you have to buy this type of car because it's the new fancy car.
Yeah, yes,
But now they're just using it for negative things. Like you don't want to buy this asset because it's going to go down even more.
yeah, exactly.
Can you believe that even right now, Mark Cuban's like, I sell my Bitcoin because it's just not a fight against inflation. Like, can you believe that we're in this time where people still think Bitcoin's dead again? Like,
It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, and what's crazy is also you bring this up, not to go on a tangent, but like so much of the industry, like um they're just giving up. Like the ETH bull, right? I forget his name, but like the biggest Ethereum influencer giving up on Ethereum even. Like Ethereum is I don't think going anywhere, right? Like I think it's going to do well. It's not going to outperform in terms of percentage gain, so it's probably a good idea if you reallocate it elsewhere, but like I don't know. It's crazy. The whole crypto is dead thing is just so massive right now. Some of the biggest leaders in the space are like, "Man, we lost the race. We're just irrelevant." Like people are calling crypto irrelevant, you know? It's just and I just don't think that's what is going on. But
And I don't mean to go on a tangent either, but I follow the 1%. What are the 1% doing? Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin,
yeah.
Tom Lee buying Ethereum. As
Yeah.
much as that one influencer sold his Ethereum bag, you have someone else buying in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's always someone willing to buy it at the price that they deserve.
Yeah.
And so I don't think crypto's getting anywhere because we literally have tokenized stocks that are now part of the whole crypto world, and that has
Yeah.
changed the game.
Yeah. Agreed.
Now, I want to come down to the last two questions, and this is where it gets really fun. Portfolio allocation. Now, imagine I'm an investor. I have, as an example, just as an example, I have $10,000. It could be 1,000, but we're just going to use $10,000. Now, because we're in a bear market, there's always opportunities in this space. So usually if I'm the 1%, if I'm a Michael Stratton, or if I'm a Michael Saylor, if I'm a Tom Lee, I'm going to be buying into things right now. So if you had $10,000, what would you look to acquire? What type of tokens in the crypto world would you want to get exposure in? Personally, just for you, not to give a financial advice, just what would you look for if you're just a brand new investor? Is it Bitcoin, utility tokens, meme coins, AI? What is it? Privacy coins? What would you allocate that $10,000 to?
So hard to answer that because um because I could sit down with like 100 people and they all have a different risk appetite. Like, give me the riskiest. I don't even care, you know? And then people are like, no, I need to preserve as much as possible, but like, I want that upside. Like, there's such a different balance. So I'll try and answer like very broadly and probably it's a safe answer. It's not my answer. Like,
Exactly.
at this point in the market, this is not my approach. I'll say that. But this is what I would say. And that would be like probably 50% in Bitcoin. 30% like as you said, like the AI, like what's going on in terms of narrative utility, like 30% in something like, so something like SWE. I like SWE right now because the way that their team is building, and the stuff that they're building is very nicely in line with the current narratives. And it's not a narrative. AI is not a narrative. Like this is the new world that we live in, right? So being able to build this environment where AI can actually come on chain and, you know, zero fee transfers of stable coins, like 7 different stable coins, zero fees. Like you need that economy on chain. And that's what SWE is. They're building something like that. I like that. So like 30% for something like that. And then maybe 20% on, you know, something crazy like a dog.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so that's a very fair perspective. Again, not financial advice. It's just if you just had that amount of money and you're like, okay, I can dabble. I'm not going to spend on anything else. I'll put in these things. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. And
Yeah.
people can do their own research. You're just providing some examples. That's
They
it.
can tweak that accordingly. Like, no, like I like SWE and dog, that approach, but I don't want Bitcoin right now at the bottom, like right here.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is, I like if you ask a question at the top of a bull market too, it's like different. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be doing videos on that. Like I'll be using our risk models in a bull. I mean, if we get a bull market, right, and I'm taking profits, like I'll be doing videos on, hey, here's how high risk is right now. I'm taking profit. I'm moving to USD. I'm moving to Bitcoin because then you'll see me probably my content different in terms of like altcoins versus Bitcoin. I'll be allocating or repositioning from altcoins into Bitcoin, and to preserve capital and maybe a potential crash or bear market over. So the answer is different now. Now that we're in like a bear market low, I just have a way heavier risk appetite when we're in these type of like really low risk oversold areas. I think altcoins look extra good in these types of times.
Absolutely. Dig it. Love it. Okay, so this is the last question that I have for you. And this is actually an important one just because I think we have to talk about gratitude. Okay, people may not understand this, but gratitude, I feel, is a question that we need to ask because you've been a full-time crypto content creator for quite a while. But what people also don't know, or maybe they do know, is that you're also a family man.
Yeah.
So the reason I bring this up is because when we look to influencers or educators, we don't really realize that they're also just human beings that also are no different from every other person. We all have jobs, we all have a family home, we have to show up to work at a certain time. We also care about our financial future.
Yeah.
But for me, I want to ask you this, like, what are you most grateful for when you reflect on your entire journey that you've had from, learning about this space, then starting to make content about the space, going through the hurdles for the bulls and the bear markets? Because the reason I ask you this, because I want to get some advice, right? If people are pursuing this type of thing, maybe not as a YouTube content creator, but getting into this space, like how would you give them advice in terms of starting this venture of entrepreneurship, creative freedom such as creating content, but also financial independence, right? Because at some point in your life, you decoupled away from stepping into maybe the 9 to 5, who knows? Or you decoupled away from, I'm a slave to the system. I have to work an 8 hour wage. That's like back in the 1990s, I feel. But you,
Yeah.
you stepped away from that. And now you're this person who I think a lot of people idolize and say, you know what? I want to be a person that's like Dan, where I have a beautiful family, I have a beautiful home, and I get to make amazing content. I'm happy and I am able to just sustain my mental model through these market, volatile movements. Like from your perspective, from your body, from your journey, what are you grateful for, and how are you able to give people advice on how to live this type of life that you've kind of created for yourself?
Hmm. This is a deep question, but that's a very personal question too, especially for me. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if you're aware or your audience is aware, but like I'm a man of faith. That is huge to me. My family is foundational. My wife and 2 kids, um, daughter and son. It's foundational. Like, and it is like stepping outside the noise of crypto. It gets so noisy, especially as a content creator. Not only just comments and people like screaming in your face about all these different things, but just like, keeping up with doing content and running these businesses. It's like there's a lot to it, right? Um, so for me, it is like I'm thinking of myself when I start my day sitting outside in the morning. It's just like right now we're in a rental because we're waiting. We're building a home. Not going to be done till like the end of the year, but like out there on the deck is like just trees back there. And it's like you start the morning and it's incredible like how quiet it is. Like the contrast to when I come into this office or log onto the phone or the computer, the contrast is insane. You know what I mean? Like, and that's for me, and this is just me. It's separating like those two worlds because they are completely different worlds. And it's so important. Like you have to, because, and this is foundational to really the thought that I think I'm trying to present is like, it really is completely meaningless. It's meaningful in terms of living. Like I'm here trying to build business. I'm trying to make right financial decisions for my family and our future, to take care of my family. Like those things are important. I'm not saying that's not important, but in the grand scheme of things, and I think about Solomon in the Bible in Ecclesiastes. He says that we're talking the richest dude ever. Like even in today's terms, like if you really like see how rich he was, how much he had, I think still the richest man ever. He said it was he did everything you could think of, every pleasure, all the money, everything. And at the end of the day, he said it's all meaningless. He said that's what he's seen. He's seen everything under the sun. It's all meaningless and it's all chasing after the wind. And for me, I have to reset and understand that is exactly what crypto is, dude. Because in my opinion, it really is all meaningless. And the more I study scripture, the will of God is to know Jesus Christ, our Savior. And that grounds me. Like that gives me the optimistic hope everlasting. And those are two different worlds, but it's bringing that into crypto because we are here. Like we have every breath that we take is a blessing, a gift from God. So I want to do the best with those breaths. I want to do the best with money that I'm blessed with and taking care of my family. But that bigger picture grounds me because otherwise I'd be, knowing me, not everybody, because I'd be out of control, man. Like if it was just me and crypto without having God in my life, like I'd be like a way different content creator. You know what I mean? So that's what grounds me. That's what I'm grateful for. There's a way bigger thing going on, and crypto is like such a little. It's not as big as we often make it. And even in my day to day, I get into my day. I'm like so drenched in it, and it's just like it's not that big of it. You know what I mean? So that's my personal perspective.
Well, you've created a foundation for yourself, and it's always something that you can always go back to, which is your faith, which I really appreciate. And some people don't have access to things like this where they can go to their God or go to the God within themselves to find out, okay, what am I channeling? What is God trying to say something through me? Because we sometimes get lost in the smokescreen of things, which is confusion or emotional decisions. I call these emotional indicators. And these emotional indicators tell us, to react to our feelings rather than look much deeper, closing our eyes, and being in stillness.
Yeah, and actually, that's a very good point you bring up. Is like I recommend so highly, like, because obviously it's noisy as a content creator, but I think anybody that's in crypto that isn't a content creator, they're just online on X, they're probably scrolling a lot, right? Such a recommendation, like, man, you get insane clarity to make good financial decisions. Just go outside, put your phone away, take off your shoes and socks, walk on the grass, like grounding, getting sun. Like, I know that sounds like, I don't know, maybe it sounds hippie-ish to people, but it is absolutely incredible. Like, eat clean, go work out, take care of yourself. Everything that has not to do with technology or your computer or your iPhone or reading anonymous comments online, go do those things and then watch how much clarity you have to make better financial decisions. You know what I mean? You don't need a content creator doing a YouTube video to make your decisions. Go do those things, do your research, and then make your decisions because those things are very healthy. You know what I mean? For your mind.
Absolutely. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy thoughts, better financial decisions. I like this. This is great advice. Okay, so we're coming on the top of the hour. Let's end it off. I want you, Dan, can you tell us, please, thank you so much, where can we find you? What channels, if it's on X, YouTube, and also what tools or websites are you developing right now that people should check out?
Okay, yeah. I mean, Crypto Capital Venture, you can really search me on YouTube. You'll find my channel. Dan Gambardello. You can search me. You find my channel as well, on X as well. And then, I'm not trying to shill our risk models, but we have our intelligence platform, Crypto Capital Venture Intelligence. You can find that if you're interested in like making risk-based decisions. We've been building that through the bear. And by the way, like the models are insane right now. Like, you probably seen them, but we're in accumulation zone. Like we're in accumulation territory. As we built the company, we've not had a bull market where we're, in my view, in exit territory. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. But yes, we're developing that system as well. So yeah.
I can heavily endorse that this AI intelligence system that you've created is fantastic. It visually is very captivating, and we are in accumulation zone. I don't know anybody who would want to sell at this specific point, but most people will because they are emotional traders. But with that said, I really appreciate it. Definitely, guys and girls, check out his YouTube channel, check out his X account, and also his intelligence system as well. I'll post the links up if you haven't seen it already. Dan, thank you so much for spending an hour and taking the time to just tell us everything about yourself, your journey, your experience, and also a lot of the knowledge that most people don't get on a daily basis, which is just how your thought process works, especially within bear markets and especially bull markets. We'll see what happens, what's going to happen with Kevin Warsh and with the whole PMI data. But as things play out, we'll probably look back on this video and say like, you know what? That was a hell of a good time, but we're willing to adapt. And so, Dan, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Vincent. God bless you, man. It was awesome. It was awesome being on your channel. I'm a huge fan. So
absolutely, man. Thank you.